The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Tokucast Reviews.
Episode 81.
Thank you. You already looked it up. I was literally about to.
I memorized it off the last time.
Yay. What are we talking about today, Marcus?
We're going back to Garo for Garo Fang of God and Fang of God Jinga. So, more decade.
Jinga, man.
We were talking about that the other day on the Discord.
No, you're right. This is the game where we play with the wood in the tower. Make sure it doesn't fall.
Oh, yeah, this is Jenga.
Coming with the jokes today.
Anyway, we're talking about the movie first. Because that's what happened first.
Yes.
What did we think about this movie? Because, I'm going to end up summarizing the plot more or less, but I want to see what we thought about it first.
I liked it.
I liked it quite a bit, too. Although the beginning is slow.
The beginning is not good.
No, it's not. It's really slow. Up until they get to that big fight scene, the movie is sort of stagnating.
For me, it was more of up until... I wouldn't say it was a fight scene. It was more so we got past the beginning.
Yeah. The beginning is just like, hey, Professor Ryoma betrayed us for this priestess who's trying to bring back her dead husband.
Right.
Who thinks that...
I will say the scene with, I forget the character's name, but Gokai Silver's actor.
Mm-hmm.
The scene with him where he's getting beat up by those guys, and then that girl comes in, and then he just wakes up and snaps out of it and starts beating everyone up. That scene made me laugh.
Yeah. He was acting like a drunk bastard.
He was. Also, I thought I was going to hate this movie because it was these characters again. And
I did too.
And it wasn't Daigo and Gold from Goldstorm.
Yeah.
The characters that I liked. Instead, we brought back the other two Makai Knights from the show that I hate.
Yeah. From season 3.
And I was like, oh no. Because when they showed up, it was just like, oh, come on, really? You had a good thing going, but then...
When Ryoma comes in to try to protect that evil Makai priest.
I was going to say, but then the movie happened, and I realized, oh, they actually don't suck.
Yeah. So basically the premise of this is, as I said, this Makai priestess is trying to bring back her husband. Her husband, Judo, not the fighting style, fell into darkness.
Judo, no, not that one.
Not that one. He was a Makai priest, a Makai knight, actually. And she's trying to work with these horrors using 3 Makai armors and an evil spirit to try to bring him back to life.
As you do.
This never works.
No.
I don't understand why anyone ever thinks this will work.
Because they think they're different.
Because she was grieving and desperate.
Yeah, that's basically it. But she was a childhood fan of Agri, who was Professor Ryoma in Gaim. And this is, because as we said, the beginning of this movie is not good. And when he comes in to try and stop them from going after her because he cares for her and stupid shit, and I'm sitting here like, this is when the movie I thought it was going to be god-awful.
Pretty cut and dry anime stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was actually going to be god-awful.
I kind of did too, but then once we got past this point, I believe, it started to turn around.
Yeah, once Ryuga, Agari, and Takaru, and...
Mainly once Ryuga and Rian showed up.
Yeah, that's when it started to get really good. It's just like,
those two are still great.
This is when the movie became fun. And that's the thing that matters.
Yeah.
Because once they get into the big building and try and stop her...
Which is where most of the movie takes place.
Yeah.
Most of the movie is just in the building.
Yeah. Because she's up there about to perform the ritual using the hair of her...
Hair of the dead person.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
This is when the movie...
We come to find out that it isn't. It turns out it was somebody else's hair.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. Because we're going to talk about them fighting up the tower.
Yeah.
This was fun as hell.
It's a great set piece.
It's so much fun.
Forgive my stuttering.
It's a great.
That's all.
But yeah, I just thought this was unbelievably this is when the movie took off. Because we got to see them all fighting. I love that scene of Takaru just in that room surrounded by all the horrors. And then we go to that outside of like that translucent window.
Mm-hmm.
and we see him just killing everybody in the room that bursting through the wall. He's like, all right, let's go.
I love them killing all the horrors. I love them saving all the office workers.
Yeah.
And them working to get them out. I thought that was well handled.
Even the scene with Rion, her fighting all those horrors by herself.
Rion's still great in this
She
movie.
is extremely good in this. It's like after season 3 when they sucked. They were just like, oh, wait.
Once Goldstorm happened, they made her very competent and fun. Really good at teamwork. She's fun. And she saves the boys just as much as they save her.
Which is a very nice change of pace.
It is.
However, there is still my favorite part of this movie.
Oh, what is that?
I wonder what that is.
The dog.
The
dog gun.
Right.
I love dog gun because it was the most nonsensical thing that could have happened.
That's the most nonsensical thing that could have happened.
I mean, dog gun.
I know dog gun. I watched the movie.
It's
and
sad that
chucks.
I forgot. Okay, so literally, like, I would say, 4 months ago?
Yeah, when the movie first got subbed.
Marcus showed us just that scene of the dog gun.
I don't remember that.
I do.
But now it's vaguely coming back to me.
And then I was watching this movie, and I'm like, why does that dog look familiar? And then in the scene happened, like, motherfucker, it was this movie.
I guess I had a vague inkling that I'd seen it before.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why.
And it's just... And I just kept...
And then
You ruined the scene because I couldn't stop thinking of your stupid face.
so weird. And then Bone Chucks.
Mm-hmm.
He uses Bone Chucks to throw it, throws them, and the dog goes after them, and the horror's looking at it like, the fuck? And I was just like, this is what I signed up for.
I'm sure.
Straight up, I'm on mushrooms. Because this
I was
is
saying,
great.
we in Wonderland, motherfucker.
You do mushrooms, and all of a sudden it's dogs just shooting each other with their bullets coming out of their
It's
mouths.
just so good. But...
21 gun salute. Yeah.
The 21 bark salute.
There you go.
And then, as you said,
salute.
though, there is a ritual.
Yes.
And the hair of the person that
is.
they're actually trying to bring back for these horrors
Unbeknownst to the Makai priestess.
is Jinga.
Of
Jinga.
course.
And he
Is
chews...
Jinga.
He's once again chewing the hell out
Once
of the
again,
scene.
he's Nick Caging it up.
And he is glorious.
Yes. There is a scene in this a moment in this movie where Jinga literally turns into Decade.
Yeah.
There is a moment where... is it okay if we jump to this point now?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay, so this one, like, bad lady is like, haha, I have trapped you both. And Jinga goes, haha, I knew that. Breaks out of his confinements and just murders her. Commands the room that they are in to murder her. Just like in Superhero Tyson, where the bad guys are like, haha, we've got you. And Decade goes, haha, we know. And then he summons all the writers and Sentai back. It's literally that same scene, just with 900% more scenery chewing.
Which is hard to beat Decade in
Well,
scenery
when he's
chewing.
like trapped in the wall and he's like, I knew. And he lunges
I'm not saying
at
you're
her.
wrong. I'm just saying it's an incredible feat that he should be proud
Because
of.
once again, the Nick Cage School of Acting, and I'm here for it.
Now, of course, the building gets turned into a giant... Pretty much.
Precisely.
It gets turned into a giant arc. It's trying to fly towards the moon because horrors get their power from the moon. As he said, this movie goes batshit quickly and it's amazing for it. If it didn't do this, I would have been bored. But here we are on a building to the moon.
I would still love to hear the director notes from him, like, more, bigger, Nick
More
Cage.
intensity. No, did he show him like scenes from Vampire's Kiss and was like this?
Or
More
the,
of
I want more of this.
or the opening scene of Face Off where he's in the priest outfit and just goes, that.
More of that.
I absolutely love this movie. And then they go up. Of course, they're fighting. Jinga and Ryuga are fighting.
I could fight a Makai Knight for hours.
I can't wait till somebody makes a gif out of what Jacob just did.
I love it.
That's what he does in the movie.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would love to just have a gif of that.
Well, somebody will.
Now, they are trying to get Messiah, what have you.
I thought
The
you were about
giant-
to, about to say
naked
messy
lady.
ass.
That too. Because she is a giant naked lady.
Because what Garo movie is complete without a giant naked lady?
Somewhere in it.
God damn it.
I'm reminded of a quote from Yahtzee Croshaw. You had so much restraint, but then at the end you fight a giant naked city-destroying woman clutching a broadsword.
And that's what it was.
What was he talking about?
Ninja Gaiden 3.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Now, they do end up going to fight, of course. Jinga loses to Ryuga. And
How
then
dare he?
they end up going to... He and Amadi end up showing up.
Yeah, because Amelie gets resurrected as well,
Yeah.
and then Rion fights her. It's a pretty good fight scene, I might add.
Yeah.
Whew.
And then
Crap.
they both end up losing. They end up going to the horror world where we saw in like season 1.
And this is like the end of the movie.
Yeah. And Jinga goes and tries to fight.
He's like, well, I guess I'm going to go fight that lady. And then he flies off while Amelie watches.
And then we end up starting Fang of God Jinga.
And that's where the show comes in.
Because he lost.
He lost, because of course he did.
And he somehow gets
He's too
resurrected.
busy emoting.
He somehow gets
Mugging
resurrected.
somehow didn't work.
I lost. Love this movie. It's so weird.
So then Jinga, the TV series, starts, and suddenly he's no fun anymore.
Oh, yeah.
He lost. He gets resurrected.
He gets resurrected as a Makai Knight.
And
apparently left his personality
with a new
behind.
name. And he,
Well, Jinga...
Mikagage?
yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mikage.
Mikage.
You could gag me.
He has a younger brother named
Younger
Toma.
brother.
His parents are dead because his father was a Makai Knight. He was in training. He won his training. And his father gets turned into a horror.
Yep.
Is there
Kills
any
his
Makai
mother.
Knight with parents who are actually living?
They're dead.
I'm just saying, is there any Makai Knight who
Oh,
has...
is there any? No, not that we've seen.
I think I broke Marcus.
Nope.
No parents!
Disney, ladies and gentlemen. They've infected everybody. Everybody must have dead parents.
Yeah, his father
Moanas
gets
are
turned into
still
a
alive.
horror.
The exception.
Kills his mother.
Yes.
He killed his father in front of his brother, but his brother's memory is...
And this is all episode 0.
Yeah.
Not episode 1, like I watched first, like a normal person.
Seriously.
But his brother's memories
Because why
are
the fuck?
erased by their family friend and Makai priest
Convenient.
to protect him.
How convenient.
And
But
Jinga,
but then he remembers it a couple episodes later, so it doesn't really matter.
No, it really doesn't.
it sort of does, but he ends up accepting it. But at the same time, Jinga also ends up having another friend, Fusa, who ends up becoming his
His
Makai
Makai
priestess,
priestess.
that they end up fighting later.
Yep.
Later on, Jinga's right hand ends up getting bitten by a horror that he was fighting, and unbeknownst to him, the bite activated something within him and changed him without realizing it.
Into
which
what?
basically made him be able to separate the horror from the person after he kills the horror.
Yes.
God.
So
When he got bit...
so if you're me and you're watching episode 1 first, and he does that for the first time, it was like, oh, well, this is new.
It is very new.
But when I watched him get bit, I was like just going, please don't turn horrors into zombies. Just don't turn horrors into zombies.
Now, the horror, later on, Toma actually ends up getting made into a gateway for horrors to cross over.
Because that's what Garo needed, a kid.
Actually, he's not bad.
I'm glad you think so.
He could have been worse.
No.
He could have been the kid
Sorry.
from the season 2 of the animated one.
Sure he could have. I didn't watch that.
It was trash.
I'm-
Season 2 was bad overall.
He could have been the
You
kid
say
from
that
the
a lot.
Christmas special of Gecky Ranger.
Right, he could hate Christmas.
Well, that's just mean.
He could hate Christmas, though.
And say it only in English.
But Toma ends up getting taken over. He gets turned into a horror. And Jinga ends up releasing him. I love this episode, though, because it all has to do with his mirror. And Jinga sees...
I liked the mirror aspect of it, but
Because Jinga sees the other Jinga in
this
that
show
mirror.
got off on a really bad foot with me, though.
It did
That
not-
first episode 1 straight up pissed me off.
Why?
Because if you remember during the Wizard review when I said the Japanese like to make you feel emotions instead of telling you a good story or telling you a story with characters that you care about,
Yeah.
whenever they tell a story about bullying, very few things anger me as much as this. Because it's so cartoony and over the top. Everyone is so cartoonishly evil. And their evil defies all logic and sense.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the horror in this case?
I'm talking about the bullies in episode 1. Episode 1, it's like there's 4 or 5 girls who are bullying this other girl, and then the bully girl becomes the horror at the end.
Oh, that was the one who actually bit him.
Right.
Yeah, the mirror episode is completely different.
I know the mirror episode's completely different. I'm just talking about how this show got off on the wrong start with me, and frankly, it never really recovered.
It really did for me because this is now my favorite season of Garo.
Which, after I saw the ending, I understood why.
Yeah, because I love the fact that they end up giving little hints throughout the beginning of the show that him turning the horrors back into people is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
That was the thing that the watchdogs were like, all right, what the fuck?
Yes.
So, because...
Well, this is new. I'm not sure how to feel about this.
At all. And in the mirror, he sees the other Jinga, but he doesn't know exactly who that is.
Right, because his memories have been erased.
Yeah. And the watchdogs end up dispatching these two people, Makai Knight, Rozan, and his disciple, to go and investigate him. They do. Shijo, which is the name of the disciple, actually goes along with them.
Right.
And he and Jinga go to have a talk at the top of a hill, and Jinga kills him.
Mm-hmm.
Because slowly over time, the evil Jinga is starting to come back throughout the rest of this show.
Yep.
And I love how they end up they build this up within actually Jinga Mikage, not just like separate from Jinga, because he thinks he's doing so much good bringing these people back from the horrors over the course of the show. And I love that. I think that weird inner struggle that he has going on of him trying to do the right thing, but also not really wanting to go against the watchdogs as much as he is, even though that does end up getting broken at the end of the show itself.
Yeah.
It just ends up making it better understanding him as a character. I will, however, disagree with Amari coming back out of nowhere, because that literally does happen. Although we could just suppose that she didn't die when they fought.
It's possible, because if you remember, he's the one who flies off to meet Messiah head on, and she just kind of hangs back.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, honey, you have fun.
That's pretty much exactly
I'll just wait here then.
All right, so...
See you in the next season.
I also love, even though we don't end up getting that much focus on her as much, although I think it's actually a good thing, Fusa, her relationship with Jinga, was pretty good because she was so worried for him, but it didn't feel like so much of a romantic worry, just like she's legitimately worried about her friend.
Yeah, true.
And that's refreshing.
It was fine, but
Yeah.
I just didn't care that much.
Now, Jinga thinks that the Order did not understand his gift, and they want to put down Toma because he was a horror. They end up going out to this this training ground for Makai Knights, and I guess some Makai priests as well. And Toma is alluding to this kid, but, it's all good at the end of it. But Jinga is coming back later. He ends up fighting against the kid's father just as a sort of exhibition thing, and kills him. And then Jinga goes full episode 3 of Star Wars and kills the kid too.
I slaughtered them like animals. I don't like horrors. They're coarse, rough, irritating, and they eat everyone.
Glad I wasn't trying to actually drink at that particular moment.
Now, I do love the whole thing with Rozan constantly being an investigator over Jinga the entire time because he's wondering where Shijo went.
Mm-hmm.
Jinga just tells him that he was doing his own training somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
In death, but oh well. What can you do? Now,
you do that.
This priest, as we're coming in later on, tries to convince Jinga that they should go ahead and just screw the watchdogs. Let's go save people from becoming horrors. And one of the people that was turned into a horror earlier is returning into a horror again, along with his girlfriend. So Jinga's like, the fuck's happening?
How bad does your luck have to be for you not to be turned into a horror twice?
Jinga.
You have to be Jinga.
Now, Amine ends up coming in and basically keeps Rozan busy by fighting him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up getting to the end of the series where they're underground somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And Jinga kills Fusa in front of Toma.
Yep.
Toma turns back into a horror. Jinga ends up Jinga Mikage ends up fighting Jinga within his own mind.
Because then we move into the inner self, and then the good half realizes, like, this is when he really realizes
that
the evil personality that he forgot existed is still there, and it's back in full force, and it's trying to regain its power. And I actually really like the scene where good Jinga is essentially just watching helplessly as all the other horrors come back, and they're just wreaking havoc and killing all these people.
Like, evil Jinga just absorbs.
Because a lot of the horrors that he saved, like, their arcs seem to be resolved.
Yeah.
Like the wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Who takes on that, that one, like, punk guy who was harassing him, but he takes him on as a student. And it's like, oh, nice little wrap up. And the girl who was getting bullied, she and her friend make amends, and they seem to be happier now. And then we see the girl that got bullied, she comes back and just, like, straight up murders her friend. Devours her essence. The wrestler turns into a horror, devours his pupil. And it's gnarly. It's a gnarly friggin' scene.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is where...
And this is where I realized this was his favorite season.
It's...
This final episode...
makes... It's not that it invalidates everything else that happened.
I'm not going to say...
It makes it so desperate to see him inside of himself, unable to do anything.
Yes.
And just so broken about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when he ends up fighting Jinga again, he loses.
I thought it was appropriately built up to.
Yeah.
It was definitely appropriately built up to, and I really enjoy this kind of plot line because we don't really see it a lot.
It's nice to see victims of the week get payoff.
Yeah.
That too, but I was more just referring to the fact that somebody is trying to upset the status quo of why do we always have to do it the way we have been, and then what we don't really get is the validation.
There's a reason we do this.
Of why we've been doing it the same way for thousands of years. Typically in this kind of plot line, it's reformed and we start looking at things differently. No, this is a very, very nice way of saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And look what happens when you try to fix it.
Well, it also doesn't help that he had an evil Nick Cage Jinga inside of him fighting to get out.
That's not going to help anybody, anything.
But it's so good to see.
But I think we all have a little.
That's not going to improve anything except maybe your sex life.
Yeah, but it's like everybody except for Omri and Evil Jinga.
He becomes somebody else in bed.
Evil Jinga comes back.
He kept making these faces.
He absorbs the other Jinga. He absorbs the other Jinga, so it's just him and Omri because everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
He absorbed his brother.
Yeah.
At the end of this, and now
he absorbed all the other horrors that he had converted over the course of the show. Now he's back to full strength again. He grows wings. He flies off into the off into the moon set.
And then we flash back down to the cavern where everybody else died.
Yep.
The priest that erased the brother's memories.
Was it a cavern or an underpass?
I think it was a cavern.
Okay.
I think I saw stalactites and mites. But the priest that erased
I thought he said cabin.
The priest that erased the brother's memories comes back and sees
like a pile of rubble, and there's a glowing gold aura coming from underneath it.
Or above it. I'm not exactly sure. It's like
there is gold aura coming from somewhere.
It looked like it was coming from under some rubble when I watched it.
But that's where the end of the series.
And that's where it ends. It ends with the bad guy winning and possible hope for a future.
It's going to be
Golden Knight.
Yeah, it's
going to come back. Who's going to come back and fight Jinga again,
and hopefully put him down for good this time. I love this season.
This is like what, the third time they've killed him.
Killed Jinga,
or the second time he's come back, I should say.
Yeah,
he came back in the movie. They killed him. He came back in this show, and now someone's going to fight him again for the next season.
Yeah,
you can't keep a good villain down.
And who knows, because the movie is...
I'm just wondering where they go from here. Well, are Rian and Ryoga going to come back for the next season?
No idea, because the next season focuses on Koga's son again. So we're in that other universe. And the movie comes back in October, where the son, the father, and the grandfather are fighting together. So I'm excited for that, because we get to see Koga again.
I'm about to say, that's all you give a shit about, isn't it?
I mean, that I think is exciting.
And that'll
bring back the OG. The original Garo.
That'll lead into the new season whenever that's. I think that starts later on this year as well. But I really like this season.
It's not my favorite, but it's better than some. It's better than others. It's not as good as some, but it's definitely up there for me.
It was just like it felt so dark at the end. He
Which is
won.
why we watched Garo.
It did,
for
but
dark.
that doesn't make it good.
It's like,
No.
he won.
He did win.
What now?
That's the thing. I was thinking what now, but not necessarily in a good way.
Well, what now is we wait 5 years, we travel back in time and prevent it from happening.
There you go.
Didn't really do time travel here. Well, I guess we'll see in the movie because Goku's coming.
Just making a fucking endgame joke.
I know.
Okay.
He knew. He probably just wasn't
Yeah.
caring.
So anyway, follow us on all the things.
I love this show. I think it's one of the...
It's definitely one of the better seasons.
It's really well written, and that ending is just like so different from really anything else we've seen.
Hmm.
And I think that makes it just that much more interesting to me because we never had a season where the villain is straight up won.
I'm Toku now.
So yeah, it's just like, here we are. Next season, we'll see exactly what happens, especially in this universe, because I enjoyed the hell out of this. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. Follow us on all the things. And next month...
It's Guy month.
Nope.
Kyoryuger?
Kyoryuger
Oh,
month.
it is.
It's Kyoryuger month.
Yep.
Guy month is after.
So the way that that's going to end up happening, we have the show,
The movie.
the movies, and the Korean one that we're going to do at the end.
Yeah.
And the movies include the standalone movie, both versus movies, and the 100 Years After movie.
Standalone, the only one versus.
Right.
Versus
The 100 years.
Because there wasn't
versus
a
Ghostbusters.
yeah. Sorry, they're always usually involved in two versus movies. I forgot we handle whoever the main focus of that Sentai is.
No, especially in this case.
Yeah.
Because it's Kyoryuger, of course.
So yeah, the
main
standalone movie, the
focus.
versus movie, and the 100 Years After movie.
Mm-hmm. So the standalone movie will end up being week 2. The 100 years and the versus will end up being week 3. And week 4 will be the Korean one. And then after that, we're not going to review anything for a week because the Power Rangers board game will be here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to be
And
doing
we'll
a
be
stream.
playing that. We'll be streaming that.
We'll be streaming that and possibly another board game. We're going to have a special guest on that stream. You got to get those dates so we can solidify that with him.
I know what dates there are. We'll go over that after that.
Okay.
And then September, starting halfway through September, we'll have another special guest for a good portion of that as well.
For Guy Month?
Yes, for Gaim month, because September and part of October will be Gaim. So we'll have all the fruit.
Yay.
But fake fruit because we don't want to actually die. Like, if you're talking about, like, let's decorate your table with fruit, let's get plastic fruit.
I mean, we're only going to have it for the one review.
We're not going to keep it for everything we do.
I mean, depending on how much we're going to get done that day. But I mean, some fruit's just cheap.
Fair enough.
And I like fruit, so I'll eat it.
We'll discuss it more off camera. Bye, everybody!
Bye!
Bye.